top-ranking Democrat on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Senator Shaheen joins us now. Senator, thanks so much for joining the program.
Good morning.
You know, Senator, your record has pretty much been clear. You have been an advocate for human rights. The Global Voices of Freedom Act that you co-sponsored, you have had vocal language against the cartel, human trafficking. But you don't support this strike from the administration to capture Maduro. Why is that?
Well, I think it's a little more complicated than that, Lawrence. Okay. The fact is, this was a masterful military effort. I applaud all of our men and women in the military and in the intelligence services who participated in it. I think the Venezuelans and the world are better off without Maduro being there in charge. But the question is, what comes next? Because what's happened is that we've changed one authoritarian leader in Maduro for another in his vice president. Hopefully, we're going to see a path to democratic elections at some point. We've also raised real questions from some of the president's comments about going into other parts of Latin America, other countries, into Greenland. Questions among our allies about what that really means. I think that would contribute to regional instability in ways that are not helpful. So I think the real questions are what happens next. And, you know, my constituents in New Hampshire want the president focused on how he's going to lower the cost of living that they're facing, because those costs have increased. We've got millions of people throughout the country, thousands in New Hampshire, who are losing their health insurance. We want the president focused on what's happening here in the United States.
So, Senator, tell me more about the meeting with, I know Secretary Rubio was there, the Attorney General was there, the Secretary of War, because I think the argument that the administration is making is that this impacts American lives, this part of the region. And to your point about it being destabilized, I'm not sure Latin America is quite stable right now. So what happened in the briefing that led you to believe that this administration doesn't know what they're doing right here when it comes to controlling this part of the region?
Well, I didn't say they didn't know what they were doing, but they're basing their strategy on a lot of unanswered questions and ifs about what's going to happen and whether the current regime in Venezuela, and this really, despite removing Maduro, this was not regime change. We haven't seen that the people around Maduro have been removed or that they're going to behave differently. So that's the question, what's going to happen next? And you know, in New Hampshire, where we're very affected by the opioid epidemic, where drugs have been a real issue, we have finally begun to see a reduction in overdose death rates, and that's been because of the cooperative effort, the treatment and recovery dollars, and the coordination with the federal government that were a major part of Trump's first term. Unfortunately, we're not seeing that as part of the second term in terms of going after those drugs at home.
I never want to cut you off, but I'm short on time. I think the administration would push back and say that part of the effort is securing the border and the drug trafficking that's coming there, putting a lot of these narco-terrorists on notice. The senator, former Senator Marco Rubio, who is now the Secretary of State, says that this is only part of the plan. You can't go out there and attack all of these 5 targets at once. So are you open to the administration, piece by piece, enforcing these court documents? I mean, Maduro, in fact, does have a warrant for his arrest, and the administration executed that. Should they have not done that?
No, as I said, I think we're better off because Maduro has been taken into custody. The question really is what happens next, and what does this mean for our allies and partners? We have a long track record of working with the military in Colombia to address drug trafficking there. I visited there a couple of years ago with a bipartisan CODEL. We saw very up close and directly the impact of those cooperation efforts. And what's happening to that relationship as the result of the president's posturing, I think is a real question. And what does this long-term mean for Americans? And are we going to see an improvement in the reduction in drugs that are coming into the country? Are we going to see that the oil industry is really going to be better off in Venezuela. And where's that money going to go? Is it going to go to benefit the Venezuelans? And is America going to see the shadow fleet that has been important to Russia in fighting Ukraine, that's been important to China? Are we going to take that down and follow up and make sure
Senator,
that happens?
Don't you think
and
it's
I support that.
Don't you think it's way? I mean, I got a lot of friends in Venezuela, and as one of them put it, not my friend, but one of the Venezuelans said when they talked about the Americans taking the oil, they said, "Do you think the Russians and the Chinese are in Venezuela for the recipe?" Of course, they're not there for that. They're there for the oil. So I guess the question is, do you want the Americas controlling the oil that is going on in Venezuela? America once did control that, and it was at the benefit of the Venezuelan people. Or do you want the Chinese and the Russians controlling that region, Senator?
Well, as I said, I think it's important for us to take apart the shadow fleet that has been benefiting Russia and China. And that's going to be important to see what happens next. It's going to take a significant investment in oil in Venezuela to get those oil fields up and running in an efficient way again. So hopefully that private investment will happen. I don't think Americans want to see American tax dollars invested in making those oil fields up and running again.
Well, I assure you that the president has told us that he doesn't have a plan for that to happen. There's a new Wall Street Journal piece that says there's already 20 American companies that are ready to go, but they need those protections in place. We'll be following it. I'm in the wait and see category as well, Senator. Thank you so much for joining the program this morning.
Thank you.